right. So, I'm going to get started with our discussion here. Get this on for you. So if we could all put in the meeting chats anything from today's CNN 10 broadcast that we found interesting, cool, different, something that we did not know. Jahir commented on the broadcaster saying she was mad cute. That's funny. At least you picked something out, you know? Today's broadcast was kind of interesting. Like, I learned some things that I didn't know. So I'm sure you all did too. Leslie said the dog crawling record is cute. That's different. I didn't even know we had a world record for that. It's like we have a world record for everything, and that's kind of crazy that there's a world record for the dog crawling. Diksha agreed with Leslie how it was cute. What else do we got? Jahir said the extinction of salmon. That is crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't even know they were going extinct. I feel like you would think they'd be everywhere. But it's crazy that they're being destroyed because of like the oil and the dams and everything. Those are all man-made things that you think we could reverse. So we'll see if we ever get to bring those back. It seems like they're working on it, but we'll see if that happens. I'm sure we can. Leslie said, my dog could break it without training. All right, I love the confidence. Brandon also agreed the Atlantic salmon was an interesting story. It was. It was really interesting. And if you think about like all of the animals that are going extinct, what are we going to do about it? How can you do about it? Or what can you do about it? Brian said, honestly, as a teen who will be working soon, I think the minimum wage should be raised because I will need to save up enough to move out. Yeah, that's crazy. They've been having the minimum wage argument for as long as I can remember. When I was in Illinois and a teenager and working, our minimum wage was $8.25, and it's 12 something here now. So that's it's higher than what it was, but it's not what it needs to be to like make a living essentially. I can see both sides of the argument. How the Democrats are like, hey, this isn't enough to live off of, they need more money, and then the Republicans are like, hey, this will affect businesses because they won't be able to afford to pay them because they're not making enough revenue to pay their employees. So that's gonna create loss of jobs and struggling businesses. But then you have your employees struggling because they're not being paid enough. So I see both sides, I really do. If you do an average math, if they raise the minimum wage to about $15 an hour, it's about $31,000 a year. And that's not really a lot if you think about it. It's kind of upsetting and kind of frustrating, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. Hopefully they can figure it out. As I said, I forgot those exist. I feel like you're talking about the salmon. It's pretty good to eat, by the way. Mr. Saldana said, the near extinction of the Atlantic salmon is concerning. The efforts of all the scientists involved to preserve them is amazing. Science rules. Yeah, it's crazy that they can just have a hatchery. Like, they can bring a fish or two in there, have them lay eggs, and keep building up the population. But I see the argument of, are they the same as wild fish? And that's an argument about all fish when they are raised, like fish farms. So, Abraham said, yeah, should most definitely be raised. Yeah, minimum wage should most definitely be raised. Coming from a person who works minimum wage, but that's different conversation. Leslie said, I hope they raise it. All right. Ryan said, honestly, the people who care about the economy don't make enough to make a difference in the economy, so really, they just care about their paycheck more than anything. All right. I see what you're saying here. People who say they care about the economy don't entirely care about the economy, they care about themselves. And you're a much smaller part of the economy than you would think. So it's like different arguments. Leslie said, but if they raise it, wouldn't everything be more expensive? So kind of. When the cost of living raises, minimum wage should also be going up. But we're in a phase right now where minimum wage is not going up, but the cost of living is still going up. So it's kind of like you have to have an even balance here, and it's not. So we have to get that evened out. Abraham said it should be like 15 or somewhere around there. That's the argument they're making right now, is to propose it to a $15 minimum wage. So that is what's being proposed in Congress right now under the Biden administration. We'll see if it happens, and if it does, it should be sooner rather than later. Mr. Saldana said top-end wages have been increasing at a much higher rate than the lower minimum wage. This imbalance will never allow for income equity. Yeah, we're struggling with the income equity thing, and it really needs to be fixed. And it's like, how are they going to do that? Because if you think about, more people are getting raises at the higher end level, but they're not raising up their minimum wage. It's a struggle here. Santiago said if they raise it, all the prices will go up. So again, kind of our prices already are going up. So it's like, why not raise it? But I understand both arguments again. Ryan said 31,000 is how much teachers make. So that begs another question. Why aren't we paying our teachers more? Oh yeah, that's another argument that is being made on another aspect. 31,000, I think it's in Texas, the starting salary is 33,000 for an entry-level teaching position. And minimum wage workers at $15 an hour would be making 31,000. So why, that's an argument as why is teachers not being paid more? Why would they be making the same as a minimum wage employee? So that's another argument to be made. They're talking about funding and everything. Abraham said, I've been wondering why don't they just print more money? I know because it will be less valuable, but still. So that is how that's what happened during the Depression. They printed more money. Inflation happened. That's what makes it less valuable. So printing more money wouldn't really solve the problem. It would just send us into an economic down spiral there. I mean, it makes it like in your head, you'd be like, why can't they just print more money? It would make sense, but it's a whole economics standpoint that we can spend all day talking about. Brian said, on top of that, prices have been going up with the wage staying the same. Yeah, so gas prices continue to go up. Prices of groceries have been going up, healthcare prices, all of that, but our wages haven't been going up. So why is one thing going up but not the other? Santiago said if they printed more money, rich people would be richer, don't you think? Yeah, because who would have access to it? More access to more money being printed would probably be going to those that are in the lower class, middle class. Ryan said also the Germans tried the same thing and the money meant nothing, so at some point they had to start burning it to keep warm. Right, so the Great Depression in Germany, that's what happened. They printed more money, didn't really work, went to their money being meaningless and useless, so it started to just mean nothing to them. So like Ryan said, they burned it to keep warm because they just had no use for it anymore. It's inflation. We'll talk more about that when we get to Great Depression, World War II intros, stuff like that. Santiago said everything goes up because that's how the economy works. Not if they raise minimum wage exponentially, it would be different. Oh, but if they raise minimum wage exponentially, it would be different. Okay, I get what you're saying here. So I get your point. Everything goes up, that's how the economy works. There should be an equitable standpoint, equality standpoint with incomes. That's something you would learn in economics. Leslie said, I hope they pay teachers more. Me too. Me too. Abraham said, same, especially because of right now. Thank you all for supporting me and Mr. Saldana here. Really appreciate it. Ryan said, hopefully down the road, way down the road, if we fix our country debt, that can happen. Yeah, it's something that could happen. It's also a whole funding aspect that could also happen. We as a country focus on like a military state. We fund our military more than we fund other aspects. So if we, oh, that's my watch talking to me. So if we could fund different aspects, it would lead to different wages. Mr. Saldana said print more currency results in high inflation. Diksha said Diksha agreed with Leslie, hope so too, and also put more money for school. Another concept of funding from our government. Leslie said everything is slowly going extinct. That's another big problem. They're focusing a lot on climate change right now, and I hope with these acts they're doing with climate change is something to do with extinction of animals and how we're gonna solve that problem. There's a lot of deforestation going on, so we need to focus some aspects on that, and I think it's not as talked about. Mr. Saldana said, Leslie, not cockroaches. Agreed. Those are definitely not going to go away anytime soon. It's kind of sad. Jahir said, save the elephants. I have to agree. Definitely have to agree. Have to figure something out with that. Ryan said to Leslie, but realistically, with how things are going and have been going, it would probably take a very long time. We probably wouldn't live to see it happen unless we tried changing how our government does things. I think we might be able to see it in our lifetime, but it has to do with, like, my generation or our generation that would have to change how we see and do things. And I think a lot of younger representatives and senators that are coming in are also seeing it from that perspective, and they want to make change. So we'll see how everything goes and happens. Hopefully I see it in my lifetime. I'd like to be paid more at some point in my life, but we'll see. Again, funding issue, government disagreements, a lot of politicizing everything. So we'll see how that goes. As I said, not 2090. If I live to 2090, I'll be ecstatic. Does anyone else have any other things they'd like to add to this discussion? Really great discussion today, guys. I really appreciate it. It was an interesting broadcast to go off of. The vice president conversation was kind of cool too. We didn't talk about that one, but I'll bring it up. They talked about the roles of the vice presidents and how each vice president has had their own role and own thing to do, and some have more than others. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. So thank you, everyone.